Hi, I'm David Marsh, and welcome to Exploring the Human Journey.
Exploring the Human Journey.
Hi and welcome. I am so glad you joined us today. We are in beautiful Sedona, Arizona, and my special guest today is the one and only Baker. She is amazing. I can't wait for you guys to hear all of the cool stuff. Recently, I spent some time with her. I want you to watch this amazing video.
I got into this work in 2008. In 2006, I went to Peru. I worked with shamans down there for about a month. I did 4 ayahuasca ceremonies, and then we went up into the Andes Mountains where we did 5 wachuma ceremonies. I had unhealthy relationships with, druggies, alcoholics, you name it, abusive people, and working with ayahuasca, working with the shamans, doing that work is what really cleaned that all out for me. It's a very, very sacred journey. I would never suggest anyone go to the jungle to party. That's not what it's about. It's very deep, very spiritual work. The psychic work all opened up when I went to Peru. Now, when I was a child, I used to talk to a Native American woman. I'm sure she was a spirit. And I'm sure that at some point, somebody told me, whether it was my parents or some, teacher, I don't know, somebody said, honey, patting me on the head, that's just either your imaginary friend, or you don't want to tell people that because they're going to think you're crazy, or whatever happened. And so I shut that all down. When I went to Peru and worked with ayahuasca, Mamacita came to me. She started talking to me. I was living in Scottsdale at the time, came back there, and the voice was still with me. And I thought I'd lost my mind. And then in 2008, Mamacita told me to move to Sedona. I spent the first year meditating, hiking, just really asking constantly, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be doing? And as I did that, it sort of started to formulate, and I started to understand where I was going and what I was being led to do. And I knew I wanted to do women's retreats. I wanted to lead retreats. What I love most about what I do is helping people find their own voice. So I'm all about how do I help you get to that place where you can hear what you need to hear. Then I developed something that I call shamanic Reiki. I wanted it to be able to help people move blocks. So I'm using drums, I'm using singing bowls, I'm using minerals, crystals, my voice. Now there are voices that come out of me in a language that I have no idea what it is. And it's not me. I just get out of the way. It's spirit working through me. And then it's you taking responsibility to do your side of the work, because you got to do your work too.
Baker, you are phenomenal. You are an amazing individual. I know. Go ahead and say it. All of the things that I've seen and learned from you is a new upper level for me on your ability to sense, your ability to speak into someone's life, your ability to help. You're really a light worker, a healer. Tell me about how you got into this work.
Thank you. I had a pretty traumatic childhood, was sexually abused by my father. Then when I was 23, I was raped by 2 guys. So I had a little bit of anger at men.
Sure.
And I had done a lot of traditional therapies, you name it, I pretty much did it. A friend of mine had gone to Peru and worked with the shamans down there, did ayahuasca, sacred medicinas. As soon as she was telling me about it, I knew I had to go.
Yeah.
It wasn't a choice. It was like, I'm there.
Yeah.
And I knew that it was going to be probably the last piece of my healing journey. I don't even know how to explain it. I just kind of knew that. And indeed it was. So I went to Peru. I worked with the shamans about 12 days in the jungle doing ayahuasca ceremonies. And then we went up to the Andes Mountains, about 18 to 20,000 feet. And we're using wachuma, which is another sacred medicine that they use. And that's how it all started.
Yeah.
And that's when Mamacita came to me, who's my spirit guide, and also what the Peruvians call the spirit of the vine, of the
Yeah.
ayahuasca vine. They
Yeah.
call her Mamacita.
Now, that is really important to me because on my spiritual journey, I've had 2 occasions to have an ayahuasca ceremony, and it has been profound. I mean, I've just been like, I understand. I'm good. I get it. I see what this is about.
Right.
And it's just such a profound experience when you're in this sacred space, and it's really deep spiritual work. It's not a thing where you go to get a recreational
Right.
buzz. This is sacred work, and you feel it. You're like, wow, you feel the gravity of it.
Yeah.
And then you just let it do its work, and
Yeah.
and you just receive, and you get messages,
Right.
you get inner understandings, and it's like Mamacita always knows what you need.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Whether you need a kick in the butt
Yeah.
or gentle love. And my 4 experiences were all completely different, literally. So, and I don't want to talk a lot about what my experience was, because anyone listening, I don't want you to go, if you do it, I don't want you to go with preconceived notions of what it's going to be like. Everybody's experience was different.
Yeah.
Some were having crazy visions, brutal things happening. Other people were blissed out. So you can't go into that with, oh, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's whatever that profound work is you need, if it's something light or if it's something dark, when you're done, you're like, oh, that was exactly what I needed.
Right.
You know, or you're processing, I wonder what that was about. And then somebody might share something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I did find about ayahuasca was that the messages that she gave me were very simple. They weren't huge, you know, it wasn't like, oh my God. It was these simple little things. I'll just tell one quick little story. So I think it was the 3rd night, we're in ceremony, and I just kept feeling like I needed to go back to my room. You know, like, why am I here, kind of. And so she said to me, what do you want to do tonight, or something like that? And I said, well, I really feel like I need to go back to my room. And she said, we'll go back to the room. And I said, no, we're supposed to be here in ceremony. You're not, you know, they kind of say you're not supposed to leave. And she said, I'm going to give you one of the most important lessons you've ever had. So I'm like, okay, right? I'm waiting for it.
Yeah.
Stop doing what you think other people want you to do.
Whoa.
And that's exactly, it was, oh. She said, go back to your room.
Yeah.
And what I realized in that moment, that again, so coming from an abusive background, you don't learn how to say no.
Yeah.
You don't know how to do what is right for you in most cases. Obviously, you know, some people work through that faster, but I was never able to do that. If somebody said, this is what you're supposed to do, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Go jump off the mountain. Okay.
Yeah. It is, because I have that too. Like, I want to please people, and I don't want to be disappointed in me. I want people to like me.
Right.
And is that part of what you think that is?
Absolutely.
And you have to go, no, you're on your own journey. It's okay to do what you need to do. And if somebody's disappointed, that's up to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. She put me through another test after I came back. She told me to buy a silver, like one of those silver bullet travel trailer things.
Oh, cool.
And go travel around the country.
Oh, wow.
And I'm saying, I don't like to travel like that, first of all.
Yeah.
If I travel, I go somewhere and stay. I had a 70-pound dog at the time and 2 cats.
Wow.
Like, really? I'm supposed to just, you know, and I'm a realtor in Scottsdale. I'm supposed to bundle everybody up and we're going to go hit the road? No.
Yeah.
So I kept saying, no, I'm not going to do that. And then finally, but it was like it kept coming.
It wouldn't stop.
Right. So finally I was talking to another friend who's a psychic, and she said, oh, she's doing trickster on you. So why would my guide do trickster? I don't get this. So finally I talked to Mamacita about it. It's like, what's up with this? And she said, because I want you to learn how to say no. Whether it's me or God or Buddha or Jesus or whoever, it doesn't matter if it doesn't work for you. If it's not right for you at your core,
Oh, wow.
you say no.
That is so good. Yeah, I've always heard that. Don't give your authority to
Yeah.
someone. It's your
Yeah.
authority.
Right.
Oh,
But see, people who come from that background
Yeah.
you never get
no.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're a little kid and somebody's abusing you and you're being told all kinds of
Yep.
scary, awful things.
Yeah. And then did you have a feeling like it was your fault or you're part of the problem or any of those things? Oh, my
Oh,
goodness.
sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know anyone who's gone through that who doesn't think.
Yeah, that's
it's
incredible.
terrible. Yeah.
So you have this experience where you're getting information. I know for myself, I've had that experience. It was like a telepathic, just a knowing. And then now outside of ceremony, you're still able to make that connection then.
Yes. So I came back to Scottsdale in 2008 then. After I came back, she was still with me. The voice was still there. And I thought I had gone crazy. Like, okay, I've gone off my rocker. What am I doing?
Because it was outside of the container that you had gone there
exactly.
to do.
Doing it there and being there, that's one thing. Coming back to Scottsdale, the real world.
Yeah, you're dealing with property and clients and et cetera.
Exactly.
And you're like, go away.
Right. So I started telling a few friends that I trusted, that I knew I was safe with, that were kind of woo-woo.
Good. Yeah.
And they would say, well, let's talk to her. Let's ask her questions. So we just started doing that. I just started kind of playing,
Yeah.
And then it must have been 2007. Yeah. A friend of mine she would have these groups at her home and she'd have spiritual people come in and talk and do whatever. And the woman who was supposed to be there that time couldn't show up. So she calls me, what am I going to do? She's all panicked. And I said, well, maybe it's time for Mama Sita to come out of the closet.
Oh.
So I showed up and I said, here's what's going to happen, folks. I've never done this publicly.
Here's the disclaimer.
Exactly. Because, well, first of all, I wanted to be safe.
Yeah.
And second, they don't know me. I knew two of the people in the room. But I said, I've never done this publicly. So we're going to see what happens. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We'll shut it down. We'll eat. That's, cool. Call it a night. It was amazing. It was off the charts, actually. I had no clue what would happen. People were laughing. People were crying. Everyone was saying, how do you know that? I don't. By the way, it's not me ever.
So you were giving them personal information about their lives.
Exactly. Like really personal information.
Like no one could know that type of things. Wow.
Right. And I'm not kidding. I knew two of the people in the room.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. I didn't know what would happen. Actually, Mama Sita loves doing group readings. She just gets into it. She has a good time. But it's not me. If I think it's me, I'm in big trouble.
Well, then you start working out of the ego.
Exactly.
And look how awesome I am.
Yeah, right.
And then they'll trick you by going, okay, I'm quiet.
Oh, yeah. As soon as you think you're awesome,
oh, man.
It's what I call a spiritual 2x4.
That's good.
Really.
So you had this this experience that now you're beginning to take back and translate in your life. Is that when you started to feel like you had psychic abilities to connect with other dimensions?
Yes. So then in 2008, she told me to move to Sedona. But this message was completely different than the silver bullet message. As soon as she said this, I knew so clearly that was what I was to do. There was no doubt.
Yeah.
Within 5 months, I had sold my business, sold my home. This is in 2008 when the real estate market was crashing.
Wow.
My realtor friends were all saying, are you out of your mind? You can't sell your house now. Sold my house in 2 months.
Wow.
I took a little hit on it, but not bad.
Yeah.
But 5 months later, I was here, living in Sedona.
Incredible. That's great.
4 months after that, I met the most amazing man in the whole world. Well, excluding you, of course. But and we met 4 months after that, and we're married 11 weeks later.
Wow.
So obviously the man stuff got cleared and healed, don't you think?
Yeah, that's got to be a profound thing to take that tragic negativity in your life and then to have that healed in such a way that you can have a relationship.
Exactly. It was amazing.
Now, you do a lot of work with women. That's a really important
Yes.
part of your work. Talk about that.
Well, I lead women's retreats, everything from intuitive development stuff to one that I call Warrior Woman, which is really for, not necessarily, you don't have to have an abusive background, but it's for women who, it's about getting empowered, finding their voice, really stepping into their power. And it's actually surprising to me how many of us are still walking around needing that. You know, I keep thinking, we're there. Nah, it's a long ways to go. So, and of course, obviously with what's happening in today's world, with the whole
out.
Me Too movement, we're really seeing that come to light.
We're seeing that it's not okay, and you're not alone.
Yes.
And, you know, there's this shared story, there's this community being developed. And I can see that there's the potential for a lot of healing there.
Oh, yes.
You know, and again, however however a person frames that story, there's the opportunity for healing. And I guess you try to find the good in whatever situation you're in.
Yeah. You don't ever have to forgive, okay? If you do forgive, however, you will free yourself.
Yeah.
Because as long as I'm walking around with this pit of anger, that person is still controlling me.
Yeah, I've heard it framed, and when you forgive, you're setting free the one who you're holding prisoner, and that's yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
Drinking rat poison, expecting the rat to die.
Right.
You know, I've heard those wonderful things. And
Yeah.
I've been like, oh, but it feels so good when I'm angry and bitter, and I'm holding on. It just makes me feel like, that's that ego. Boy, it gets fired up when that happens. So you have a powerful transformation, service, work, ministry, business, however you would frame that. You have the ability to come in, meet someone, and read their soul, read some spiritual direction around what they're doing. Sweet Lady Gail had an opportunity to sit with you. Profound knowledge that you gave her, a lot of explanation. I had a chance to sit with you. Amazing. At one point you're like, oh, you have a spirit guide, and he's like, well, is he African or is he, and you go, oh, it doesn't matter where he's from. Oh, he doesn't even care if you know where he's from. He says that doesn't matter. I was like, what? And you know, just the information that you can give, you can give peace, you can give help for someone looking for answers. So many people are just like, well, I don't know what to do, and I was just born in this time and living my life, and you're like, no, it's a bigger picture. Talk about that big picture, that spiritual journey that people are on.
Okay. First of all, just to clarify a little bit of what I do, because I think this is important. I don't do a lot of predictive work. You know, people that come in and
you're not a magic show.
Yeah, I'm just not into that. I really want to work with people that are doing deep work. And there's plenty of them, by the way, you know. And I also want to say again, it's not me doing that. It comes through me. I channel it. I'm an open channel for whoever. Sometimes the Elohim come in. Sometimes Arcturians come. Hathors, different groups will come. I've had different people come at different times. So, but it's not me. It's them. In terms of helping people with the spiritual journey, what I am able to see is I can help you get to your answers. I can help you, I can guide you where you need to go, what we need to look at, what you need to explore. And sometimes I answer those questions for you. Most of the time I answer the questions for you, but I also really want you to get to your own answers. So I'm more about empowering people to find their own inner answers so that they can do their own thing. They don't have to come to me. They don't have to come to somebody else. They don't have to go somewhere to get the answers. Because that's how I believe we're going to change the world, is when we really learn how to receive, how to listen, how to feel it, whatever modality you get it through. Because some people are clairaudient, some people are clairsentient, clairvoyant, so you're going to get it a different way. And how do I help you get to that space where you can do that?
Yeah, that's such a good point. To that point, Gail was having an experience, and you must have observed me looking at her, and I'm just going to tell our audience what you told me because it was so profound. And it wasn't anything that I didn't feel we could share. But you said, hey, Gail's going to have her own experience. Don't feel like you need to have her experience
Right.
because you have your own.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh, thank you. You said,
Yeah.
I feel like you're, I don't know if the word's jealous. And I said, well, I'm not jealous of her, but I wish I could do that. And you go,
Right.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
You could feel that. That was
Yeah.
like, I want her to do that. And the way she has energy, you were doing this profound Reiki energy work with her. And I was like, wow, that's really, I don't have that same style of sensitivity. You're like, yeah, but you have a different one.
Yeah.
And then you help me
Exactly.
acknowledge and realize what that is. And I'm like, oh, you're right.
And what happens when you're thinking, oh, I wish I had what she has, you actually shut down what you have.
Yes.
Okay? So you're limiting yourself because it kind of like denigrating your abilities. You don't have to be Gail or
Yeah.
you don't have to be me.
Yeah.
That's one of the first things I tell women at my retreats. One of the very first things I say is, stay on your own mat. This is what a yoga teacher taught me once. You know how you're in a yoga class or whatever you're doing. You're taking a dance class, whatever it might be. And Dave is over here just breaking it out,
Yep.
man. He's so good. And I want to be that. You just took yourself out of your practice. And it doesn't matter if that person's better or worse. Okay, they could be a beginner, you could be a pro. If you're worrying about them, you're off your mat. You got to stay here and do your practice.
Yep. Do your work because
Yeah.
it's your work. Nobody
Exactly.
can do it for you.
Right.
Oh, man.
Which is why that's why it's so important to me to empower us to find our own way.
Yes. Yeah. And you had even framed it when you're in that, you're like, Barbara, you're going to do it your way. Susan, you're going
Right.
to do it your way. John,
Yes.
you're going to do it. And
Yes.
none of your ways is right for the
Exactly.
other. It's your way that's right
Right.
for you. And
Right.
that's so powerful.
Yeah.
People need to get that message in.
Yeah.
It's
Well, we disconnect from who we are.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that happens when we're children, but especially anybody who's been abused.
Yeah.
Because they just never had the freedom to be a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
They're
That's
always
tremendous.
worrying about, am I good enough? What
Yeah.
you just said a few minutes ago. Is it okay? You know, and you're even looking for those signs that they're going to abuse again. They're going to get me again. They're going to hurt me again. So you're always ramping up to that. And it's like there's no freedom there.
Yeah. In your work, I noticed that you are really tuned in with crystals, with minerals, with tell me about that, because when you were doing the reading, you had a rock or a mineral.
That was actually a smoky quartz, which is really funny because I've never been aligned with smoky quartz before. And I went to a gem show recently and that baby was just winking at me like, take me home.
Yeah.
So I've started using that one. The very first time I used crystals was, I don't know what year it was, doesn't matter. Anyway, I was doing a Reiki session for a dear friend of mine, David Singing Bear, who's no longer with us. He's transitioned now. But anyway, I had my hands on his chest and I heard, take that green calcite and put it on his chest. There was some green calcite sitting on a window ledge next to me. And I was like, what?
Wow.
Because I've always loved rocks,
Sure.
you know, and minerals and crystals. As a child, I would bring things home all the time, but I had never used it in that kind of work. I always thought they were pretty and sparkly and fun. So I'm like, okay. So I put the green calcite on his chest and I literally saw entities come out of him.
Whoa.
So after I got done, I told him about it. Now, David had used minerals and crystals his entire life.
Yeah.
And he was a really phenomenal practitioner, by the way. He was an amazing, amazing healer. And so he wasn't surprised at all. He was, yeah, sure, yeah. And I've used green calcite since then, anytime I'm doing that kind of healing work for someone. But that's when I first opened up to, okay, there's something here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start, exploring this stuff. So yeah, I teach that in my intuitive development classes now, and how to use minerals and crystals and what to do with them and the different properties. And There's a lot of really, really beautiful
Yeah.
healing stones out there, which makes sense because it's all alive.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So with Sweet Lady Gail, you took her from a session where you were in the office conversationally. Then you did a Reiki session. You did energy work with her, and you actually, I think, continued the first session into the second session where you continued to do continued deeper work.
Right. What happened? Can we talk about this? Okay. Yeah.
Off camera, Sweet Lady Gail says she gives the thumbs up. It's okay to talk.
Right. I would never share, by the way, what somebody,
Of
what
course,
happened
yeah.
in a session. So
Man makes great show and interesting conversation.
yeah. So we had, first of all, I had recognized that we have a connection, that in a past life I was a teacher for Gail.
Wow.
And so, but the other thing that I saw was that she had a past life where she had been tortured for being a healer.
Wow.
And I see this a lot with people who want to do healing work, who are healers, who are really connected, but they keep stopping themselves, right? They need to open up. And there's usually a blockage, and that's very often from a past life. By the way, this is one of the strongest healing tools that I use because there's so many people walking around with past life stuff hanging over them that they don't know about.
Yep.
Okay.
I want to put a pin in that and come back to it. But
Sure.
Continue on.
So what happened on the Reiki table, I was expecting we were just kind of doing a mock Reiki
We're
session.
making a video.
Yeah.
Let's just show a little bit of what you do. And
No. Bam. I went right into shamanic Reiki. I was gone. She tranced out.
Yep.
We were just there. In that session, which I don't even know what it was, 10 minutes, 15 at the most?
It was probably half an hour.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
And that's what happens. I usually have to make sure I watch a clock because I get so lost when I'm doing shamanic Reiki. But anyway.
That timelessness.
Yeah, we just moved that old past life stuff right out of her, clanged it out. It was gone. It was so amazing. So there's just a really intense connection between us two. So.
Yeah, and you actually felt energy that was trying to come through and trying to work with her, and you felt, okay.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of what goes on.
I
so
do.
If you
so instead of talking
in
specifics, I'm talking generalities. The first question you go, who is trying to come in from a different planet, from a different thing? And I'm like, whoa. Wow. So give presence to that. There are many people that believe this is all there is. This is the Earth. You know, I was given the tradition that we're the center of the universe. We're the only ones out here, and we're on this planet. You're born, you pay some bills, you die, and then you get the eternal judgment. You know, it's a one and done lifetime. That's what I was told.
Yeah, right.
And that's the narrative I believed and lived in for 45 years. I raised my kids in that. I taught Sunday school. You name it. So give me a little presence. What's going on here with this journey that we're doing?
Again, I've always believed in other beings. Aliens is such a harsh word.
Yeah.
You know, they're not alien.
Yeah.
They're just like us.
Well, they would look at us and say, we're the aliens.
Yeah, or vice versa. Yeah. Exactly. So I've always believed in that. I've always really... I mean, I just could never imagine how this could just be it. How could that, you know, in these universes, how can this one little planet be the only one? But again, I had never experienced anything like that until I started doing this work. And then the first ones that came in were the Elohim. And it was actually a really funny thing that happened. I was talking with this man who does channel the Elohim, and his partner in business channels the Elohim. Actually, she channels the Elohim. He doesn't. We were chatting. As we're talking, I'm standing, I was in a center, a different center that I used to be at. And I literally said, I've got to hang on to the counter because I'm getting so dizzy. What is happening to me? And he just gets this big smile on his face and he goes, well, what do you think's happening? And I said, well, now I'm getting really hot and there's all this light. And he said, see if you get a sense of who it is, because he didn't want to leave me. And all of a sudden I went, this is who you've been talking about. This is the Elohim. And he said, yeah, that's exactly how Terry has it, that they come in.
Wow.
So when they come, I get really, really hot.
Yeah.
Usually just feel like and you experienced the same thing.
Yep.
Gail had the same thing happen for her. When they
Yep.
came in, she got really hot. And you can always tell them to back off.
Mhm.
You know, like they're so excited. It's like, oh, let's go
Yeah.
play. So we just have to say, you know what, back it up a little bit,
Yep.
cool me down. You're burning me up here. But they love to come and they love to do healing work. The Hathors and the Arcturians are the same way. I had gone to a film about Tom Kenyon, who's an incredible sound healer who works with the Hathors and the Arcturians. As I'm watching this film, I said, oh my God, I'm going to be working with these two groups.
Wow.
It was like that clear. 3 days later, I was doing a session for somebody and the Hathors came first. And I'm like, what's this, right? So there are other beings out there. They love us. They want to help us. They are incredible. They do amazing healing work. And I always send love and light back to them, to whoever comes in to work with me. So, and remember too, any of you out there, they're your friends.
Yep.
They're just like friends. So just like a friend, you don't just call on them when you're having a bad day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go hiking today. Who wants to come along?
Yeah.
Let's go play. They love that.
That's awesome.
Right? They don't want to just be there when we're in trouble.
Yeah. The Hathors?
Hathors.
I've heard of the Hatfield and McCoys, never heard of the Hathors. So it's new, you know, this whole world of metaphysical, other places, other things. So is this an interdimensional thing? Is it in the same physical universe, or is it another dimension?
No, they're from another planet.
A metaphysical planet, a universe?
From a different universe. I'm having to go back now, and I'd have to go back and read the book. Yeah. So Tom Kenyon, it's his work, really, he really knows them. He works with them a lot. Mm-hmm. He's got a book called The Hathors and a book called The Arcturians, and he just can talk about them much better. For me...
Yeah, but he's not here. You are. So you have all the answers for me now.
Right. So for me, they're from a different universe. By the way, they call us, those of us who live here and always feel like we don't belong here. You have that sensation? We're like, how did I get here? Okay. Typically, us people, those people and us, because I'm one of those, who feel that way, almost always are what they call, the Hathors and the Arcturians call, galactic royalty. And what that means was that at some point in time, aliens, ETs, whatever you want to call them, came here, mated, had children, and those bloodlines have now come down, and so we have some of that. But what happens is there's always this yearning for home, because this is not home. Yeah. So I've met so many people that say, I don't know where I'm supposed to be. I've been all over the world and nothing feels right. And that's probably what's going on. And they're never going to find it, because it's never going to be there.
So that's truly, you are not of this world.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I was always given that as...
and I've never said that on camera before, by the way. So.
Is it okay to have it on camera?
Yeah, of course.
You're going to make me edit this out?
No,
absolutely
you
challenge me, I will edit this out.
No, it's fine. I just realized, I was like, whoa, I never said that one before. Okay.
Well, that's cool. Well, thank you for sharing that, because that's powerful. Yeah. And I know that things that we are sharing with people, there's people that have been like, wow, that really helped me. Thank you for sharing that. And so that's just part of you being of service. So
yeah. And everybody that I've ever done a session with that has said that to me. When I say that piece that I just said, usually it's tears.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like they get it. Oh my gosh, that's it. And typically they have a big fascination with the others, with different worlds, different universes, different planets. So it makes sense.
Yeah. How do you frame dimensions versus other planets? Do you have a language for that?
No, I don't really.
Okay.
When people start talking about the 5th dimension and the 4th dimension and the 16th dimension, I guess I get it. I feel it. I just don't think about it that
Mhm.
much. I don't worry about it. I don't know. Although I'm reading some stuff right now that's probably going to spin me in that direction a little bit more,
Yeah.
understanding the dimensions, but
What I've taken away
I
from
just kind of go where I go.
exactly, I've taken away from that is like it's bigger than I can figure
Yeah.
it out right now,
Yeah.
and that's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
And I guess ultimately, for me, it comes down to I'm a spiritual being having this human experience,
Exactly.
and it's okay. I
Right.
don't have to have it all.
Right.
In fact, as I've read through conversations with God and material like that, is we've got that erased memory, so we don't remember that, so we can be in this action movie called life.
Yes. Right. I do believe that our sense of time is it's a construct we made up because I got to know what time to show up for your show,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Or lunch.
Yep.
And so, but that's a human construct. We made
Mhm.
that up because we have to know, that's
Yeah.
how we operate.
Yep.
But the reality is it doesn't really exist like that.
Mhm.
It's all happening at the same time.
Yep. So your
Or
work,
the non-reality, if you will.
your work has progressed, and it hasn't been a long time. It's been kind of a compressed amount of time in this decade-ish, maybe just a little bit longer, that you've done a tremendous amount of spiritual work, because you were in the civilian world for a while.
Well, prior to the Peruvian trip, I was trained to be a religious science practitioner. So I
Okay.
did that for about 15 years.
Okay, now we're going
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
Tell me about religious science
Okay.
practicing.
Wow, to tell you about religious science. Okay, the textbook is like
Yep.
this. So
Because the only textbook I was
you
given
just
was
want
the
me to
Bible.
just put
No,
it
no.
right down into
So
that.
I was told that the Bible is the only truth. Everything else is
Oh,
false.
right.
It's of the devil, or
Okay.
it just is something that
Yeah.
humans made up. But really, the Bible is God made up. And that was
Right.
the narrative I was given.
Yeah.
Well, then I come to find out humans made the Bible up too.
Yeah.
It was all part of
Yeah.
their experience with the divine. And somebody
exactly.
somewhere decided it was a sacred scripture and it had to be
Right.
taken as truth so they could have control.
Right.
So you have opened up to the idea of like, well, that's not the word, it's a word. Well, here's another
Yes.
word.
Yes.
What's your journey been through
Actually,
that?
as a child, I remember thinking, I have no idea where this came from because I was raised Southern Methodist, and I have no clue, except for that there was an Indian woman that I used to talk to, a spirit. And then somebody, I'm sure, at some point said, you don't really want to tell people about that.
Yeah,
They're
they'll
going to
think
think
you're
you're crazy.
Yeah.
So I shut that all down. However, I also had this belief that there was sort of this bank up in the sky somewhere, I don't know where it was. And when I was good, or I was doing good things, or good was happening in my life, like I would put energy into the bank. And when I needed help, or maybe I was sick, or somebody in my family needed it, I could take energy out of the bank.
Wow.
And actually, that's similar to
Yeah.
religious science. So
Yeah.
religious science, first of all, we believe God is all there is.
Awesome.
Everything is God.
Yeah.
Everything is spirit.
Yep.
That
It's all part of it.
tile is
It's all part of this whole thing.
alive. There's nothing separate. We aren't separate from God.
Yep.
We are that which God is.
Yep.
Okay?
So that fundamental knowing is profound. I mean, if you stopped right there, I'm good.
Yeah.
Because I was taught we're all separate, trying to get
Right.
back to God. But you're saying,
Right.
no, we're part of God.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's beautiful.
And forgiveness is huge in religious science. Love is the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We also believe God is love.
Yep.
God is not fear-based. God is not going to beat you up because you sinned. In fact, is there any sin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, that's something Mama Sita told me once too that I really loved. Mama Sita said, if there is any sin, it's not being happy.
Oh,
Now,
so good.
If you think about that,
Wow.
if you're a happy person, you're not going to murder people. You're
Mm.
not going to hurt people. You're not going to lust after your neighbor's wife because you're happy with
Yeah.
whoever you got. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
it's sort of like, wow, she just kind of took that whole thing and
Yep. Oh, that's so good. Yeah.
I was like, wow.
When you're
really?
in ceremony, you get things you're like, that's not me. You're hearing,
Oh,
you're like,
yeah.
I wouldn't say
Yeah.
that. And you're
Right.
getting this information. It's so
Right.
powerful.
But that's what I was saying. Remember when I said what the little kind of one-liners?
Yeah.
Her stuff to me was always sort of one-liners.
Yep.
And they were all simple, You know, there weren't, it wasn't like I got to go read
Yep.
5 more books.
Yep. I absolutely identify with that. The most profound thing I got was enjoy the ride.
Yeah,
And I was like,
exactly.
I'm
Right?
good. I got it.
Right.
You're here to enjoy the ride. That's
Exactly.
why you're here. And
Exactly.
I went, oh.
Yeah.
So if I'm a little blue, a little down on the dumps, enjoy it, because when
Yeah.
you're on the other side and you're in perfect loving harmony
Right.
and bliss, you're like, oh, I'm never depressed. I wonder what that'd be like. You get to experience
Yeah.
that. A little sad or a little happy or whatever that thing is. Enjoy it.
You were talking about conversations with God.
Yeah.
Ernest Holmes, who's the founder of religious science,
Yes.
wrote this textbook called Science of Mind. When I first read Conversations with God, I said, oh, wow,
Yeah.
Neil Donald Walsh took Science of Mind and boiled it down and made it palatable for the general
Yep.
masses and understandable. And honestly, it's so much like religious
Yep.
science. Ernest Holmes, I mean, not everybody. Obviously, some people would read it and just get it like that. But for me, I would have to read paragraphs over and
it's
over.
dense material.
It's dense.
Yeah.
It's brilliant, but it's very dense.
And that Science of Mind is the name
Science
of
of
that?
Mind
Do
is
you
the
know what-
textbook.
Do you know when that was written? What time period?
1928.
Yeah, so it's got some history
yeah.
to it. It's been around for a
Yeah,
while.
he was one of the founders of the metaphysical movement.
Mhm.
And then unity split off from religious science. Christian science split off from religious science.
Okay.
So one of the things that I loved the most about Ernest Holmes was he always said, don't believe a word I say. Go read somebody else. Always be seeking. Always ask questions.
Wow.
Always be looking for the truth.
That is awesome.
Right? He always was saying, keep searching. And he never wanted to have a church.
Mm-hmm.
So he resisted having a church for a long time. All of the followers kept saying, you know, if we could just get a building, right? Because he'd show up, this was in Los Angeles, he'd show up somewhere, they'd send out flyers or whatever they did back then, and 1,000 people would come
Oh, wow.
to listen to him.
Yeah.
And, you know, they kept saying, and he would say, but if we get a building, it becomes all about the building, right? We got to support this
Yep.
and get the new roof. And
Yep.
so
Have a building fund for a bigger building.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's the Christian world I came
Right.
from.
Exactly.
Always had to have a building
Yeah.
fund.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you integrate all of the things that you've worked through? Because there's different understandings. How do you put it together into what works for you on how you frame your life, on why you're here, the work that you're doing? Because you've had many experiences. There's so many things that you've had as experiences. How do you integrate all of that into what your purpose is, why you're here?
When I went into real estate, I decided I was going to do it different than anybody. My mother was a realtor, and the woman never ate dinner.
Oh.
You know, if the phone rang, she answered it. Of course,
Yeah.
we didn't have answering machines back then and
Sure.
stuff like that. But she was gone all the time. You know, it was that whole realtor mentality. And I decided that I was going to do real estate as like a professional, but I was also going to take vacations. I was going to eat lunch. I was going to eat dinner. You know, I was going to have a life.
Yeah.
And I did it.
Yeah.
And people were always like, what do you mean you're going? Wait, you just had a vacation 6 months ago. Well, you're going on Yeah, I'm going on another vacation. I decided I wanted 5 weeks of vacation a year.
Awesome.
They do that in Europe.
Yep, they do.
But it was always fun.
Mm-hmm.
I loved my clients. And actually, back then, I was using the intuitive stuff. I just didn't connect it like this is what's happening. I could walk up to the door of a house and I would know it was their house.
Oh, wow.
Seriously. There was only one time that it didn't work. But I would walk up to the front door and I would, before we even walked in, sometimes I'd tell them if I knew them and they were, you know, they kind of would get it. But most of the time I didn't because that would be a little too strange.
Yep.
But every single time that would be the house they'd buy.
And then conversely, did you know when it was the wrong property?
Oh, yeah. Totally.
We need to not
Yeah.
be here for more than 30 seconds.
Yes, exactly.
Look at the kitchen, let's go.
Yeah. Yep. And sometimes they just need to because they just, you know, they're that kind of person that they want to
Sure.
look in every closet. But yeah, you would know. I would know.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, for me, it was always about being authentic. Integrity is huge for me. Huge. If I can't be in integrity, I can't do it. And what happened in the real estate market when it started, actually it started in 2005, when all you had to do was breathe and you could get a loan.
Yeah. Hey, you've been pre-approved.
And I kept saying, this can't last. This doesn't make sense. And the realtors were all like, shut up and make money. And I kept saying, but we're selling these homes to people that, when that adjusted rate mortgage hits in 4 years, they're screwed. They're not going to be able to make this payment. Do you show them that? So I would make them sit down and look at it. If I can't be in integrity and I can't be authentic and I can't have love as my number one guiding principle, then I don't want to play.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've learned about you is just the authenticity that you walk in. You don't have you're not about the magic show. I like to term that. A lot of times people will put themselves in the public eye as someone who can offer a service or a psychic or a help or something, and give you life advice. And it comes with the magic show and, the things that they would do. You're very authentic. You're very like, this is who I am. This is the reality of the way I'm feeling about this. And I think that genuine care for others comes through when you're talking with people.
Yeah, it's got to be there.
Yeah.
There are people, even in Sedona, that you come in and let's say your brother crossed over young and he was in a violent accident or something. And sometimes what we'll see is that soul is stuck. It hasn't gone to the light. It's not in purgatory or some horrible place, but they're not in the ultimate, right? They're not in that. And so typically what I will say to people is, when we're done with your session, I'm going to come back in and I'm going to work with Joey and we're going to get him to the light so that he's in a beautiful place. But there are people in Sedona and other places in the world who will say to you, for $200, I'll put Joey in the light.
Wow.
Why? I mean, what's that about?
That reminds me of a church that says that if you pay the minister, then they'll make a special prayer so your loved ones don't go to hell. Yeah.
Right. Right. Now you're calling yourself a healer and I'm telling you, your brother Joey, I'm going to leave him where he is.
Yeah.
Unless you pay me another $200.
Wow.
How is that okay?
Wow.
That's
that feels
not,
icky,
it's
Baker.
Really
I don't
icky.
like that.
It's really icky. It's just not okay.
Yeah.
That mentality of the person who says, you got to pay me another $200, that's lack. That is coming from a base of scarcity and lack, and that's what they've got to do is figure out how to make some more money. So
fear.
There is enough for everybody. And as long as you know that and you really believe that and that's where you stay, you'll always be supported.
I love the little Hay House calendar that Gail has at the house, and she'll pull off and we'll read what the day is. And the one that just came up a few days ago said there's more than enough. I pray for people in my industry that they are abundant because there's more than enough for all of us.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's that abundant life mindset.
By the way, religious science, science of mind, whatever you want to call it, that is another really strong principle for us, is that people can have money and be prosperous and be abundant, and you know, you don't have to live in that.
So when you're doing your workshops with people, how to get in touch with intuition, because a lot of people, they're just like, I don't know, I might have a feeling, or how do you give them some of that focused direction on this is what this is what it is. You have to define, you have to give them some sense of understanding, and then you got to give them some way to work with that. Give me some of that.
First of all, I believe that we all have it. I think for many people, just like it happened to me when we were children, we come in really, really open, right? Really open. You guys have kids, right? So you probably saw some of that. And I mean, you know, kids will say things and do things, and they're just so open and accepting and having fun, and let's go do whatever. Animals will see spirits. We have it. We just either forgot or it got shut down. Sometimes people get it in meditation. Sometimes we have to take them back and do a little bit of kind of like a soul retrieval, bring those parts back that got separated so that they can open up to that again. sometimes it's a past life issue, which happened with Gail, that somebody was tortured or killed in a past life because they were doing this kind of work. And so they came into this life and they're like, oh, I'm not going to go there. They're going to get me again.
I'm not doing that again.
Yeah. So that's a lot of the first part of like a retreat would be, we find any of the blocks, we help, I help people get rid of those, clean those out. And usually that's pretty much all it takes. And then they can start opening up to doing these things. Now, every once in a while, someone will say, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting anything. And I start talking to them and I say, well, what's happening? Well, I saw purple and I saw red and then this happened and then this comet came in, but I didn't hear anything. And it's right back to what you and I were talking about in the beginning, where they're saying, well, Gail heard voices.
Yep.
Or Cynthia saw something, but I didn't get that. So they think they're not getting anything, but they are. They're just getting it in their way.
That is awesome.
We have to quit comparing ourselves. You can't compare yourself to other people with this work.
Yep.
You just can't.
That is so good.
Yeah.
I mean, because I live in that world of comparison of I wish I had, or I'm not good enough, or whatever that paradigm is. It's so important to realize you're on your journey.
Right.
Don't compare yours with other people. I mean, there's certain things, of course, if your car's always dirty, well, I mean, your neighbor's clean, you could wash your car too. I mean, there's certain things that are, we're all trying to be together in this community, this society, but that inner, like, oh, I'm unworthy and I'm not good enough and I'm separate, and that needs to get shut down.
Right.
When you realize you are good enough, you are worthy, and you're created as love.
Yes. And by the way, if you're seeing purple and you're saying, I didn't get anything, what'd you just tell the universe?
That you weren't getting anything. And then
that beautiful purple light that you just sent me, absolutely, meant nothing to me. I want something better than that.
Wow.
You might have just seen the most majestic purple light anyone's ever seen.
Yeah.
But you say, oh, I didn't get anything. So then the universe is also kind of, so I also believe the universe hears us, right? So the universe is going, all right, now that's a mixed message. You told me you wanted something to happen. I sent you this majestic purple light. Man, I hit you with the best purple light I ever had, and it wasn't good enough.
From your understanding of all of the things that you've learned, what do you feel like, what is God? What does that mean to you? If somebody says, well, who is God or what is God? How do you feel you would define that the way it works for you?
To me, God is energy. So we're all God. Everything is God. There's no guy in the sky. There's especially no white guy in the sky.
Right.
I mean, Jesus, haven't they proven that Jesus would not have been this white guy?
Yeah, well, in all the pictures I saw, it's a white dude with blonde hair.
Exactly.
White robe, blue sash.
Yeah. So go back to the genetics at that time. I don't think so. Anyway. It's not some big guy in the sky. It's an energy. And I just believe it's love.
Yeah.
So if we really want to be God-like, how can I love more today? And one of the questions that I'll ask sometimes is, what would love do right now? What would love say?
Yeah.
If I can stay in that space, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't do it all the time. I don't want you guys, I will confess right now to traffic can sometimes get me.
Yeah. When you're in traffic or you're stuck in the grocery line behind the person that's decided to clip every coupon possible and you just had one item to scan through.
Grocery lines don't bother me. Your secret now, right?
I'm pure love. And I have to put a smile on my face. Yeah. So if I'm in that situation, I literally have to smile. Yes. I just have to look at the comedy of it.
Yeah, right. And if we can stay there, that's just brilliant. It's beautiful.
How do people get a hold of you? You have a web presence? You have a Facebook site?
So my personal website is thepsychiccoach.net. Thepsychiccoach.net. I also do lots of spiritual life coaching. And that's a little bit more long-term than just having a reading with me. Yeah. On my personal website, The Psychic Coach, under resources, there's a past life healing meditation. If you know that you have a past life that something traumatic happened and you think it's blocking you in this lifetime, please go use that. You don't have to sign up. There's no cost. It's free. It's there.
I
don't even ask for your email address.
That's
it's
incredible.
yours to use.
Yeah.
So I believe in that work so strongly that I want people to have that available to them, and I don't want them to feel like, oh, I'm signing up for her email list. I don't care. If you want to, that's great. You can do that. But
that's amazing. That's tremendous. A gift that you offer.
It's such vital work.
Yeah. Because chances are you probably did have some trauma in a past life.
But if you don't know what it is, then, either use a past life regressionist. You can call me. I can figure it out for you pretty quick.
Yeah. You have wonderful practitioners at the center. You have many people that can help you with that.
Fabulous practitioners.
Yeah. My personal friend and the person whose house we're in is Cynthia Beck. She's
Cynthia
amazing.
Beck.
CynthiaBeck.com. Yes.
Yes. We love Cynthia. She does amazing hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
She also does shamanic Reiki. She does reading. She's extraordinary.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
and she
good.
gets more tips than I get.
Well, I don't know if she should get more or not, but I mean, she's amazing and so are you. So I have to try to figure out how to split that dollar in half between the two of you.
Right. Exactly. No, it's great.
Awesome. Well, I give you gratitude for being here.
Thank you.
At the end of the show, I'd like to give you the
$1,000.
$1,000.
Dude, thank you.
In love and hug and gratitude.
I will accept.
I like to give you the space to tell people if there's one thing you really want people to take away from this time that we've spent together, it's this. It's the thing that you really want to make sure people get, that thing that sticks.
I'm just going to go back to what Mama Sita said. Stop doing what you think other people want you to do. I'll expand that a little bit. Or if you think, that's expected of you, or if it's obligatory and you think you have to do it for whatever reason, if it doesn't feel good, stop doing it. It's got to be right. It's got to feel good here. And when it does, it's total love. And then it's juicy and fun and exciting and happy and, wouldn't it be cool? I don't do Christmas presents because it's become this obligation.
Yep.
But if I see something during the year and I say, wow, Cynthia would love this.
Yep.
It would be so, that's when I'll get it. But that's just, it's juicy. It's fun. I'm having a good time. It's not because I'm supposed to.
Yep.
Right?
Yes. Oh, so good.
That would be it.
Yeah. Baker, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're
this was fun.
Brilliant. You're a light shining of awesomeness. And I give you gratitude for being on Exploring the Human Journey. Thank you.
Thank you for doing this. This work is really important.
Awesome.
I'm David Marsh, and you've been watching Exploring the Human Journey on YouTube as a video and listening as a podcast. If you would like to help continue the conversation, please consider supporting us by visiting patreon.com, where you can support us on a monthly basis and get extra bonus content. For as little as $1 a month, you can make this show sustainable and help continue spiritual consciousness. You can also help by following us on Facebook and Instagram. For more information about the show, find us online at exploringthehumanjourney.com.